Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Soul-u-tions Podcast. I have just gotten home from the most amazing vacation. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But first, I want to start with a question for you. When was the last time that you went on vacation somewhere and that you actually felt fully present while you were there? I know not just your body being there, not just your body sitting in a chair, not just physically being present at dinner, in the photographs, smiling with the water or the view behind you. I'm asking about you, the whole you, the soul you, your presence. Because here's what I know about you. You have been on trips where you were maybe the only person who didn't fully get to go. You booked it. You packed for the people some of whom may have been old enough to pack for themselves. You made sure somebody was feeding the dog, watering the plants, picking up the mail, covering your inbox. And then you got on the plane and you spent the first 3 days doing math in your head about everything you left undone. And then on the fourth night, right before someone said, I can't believe we only have 2 days left here, you just realized how tired you were. I mean, more tired than when you went on vacation. And at that moment, you're like, why have I spent all this money and done all of this planning only to feel more exhausted than I was before I left? So you put it all on yourself. You carried the load of this entire vacation for your entire family. And maybe you even decided that you're not very good at relaxing. And I want to offer you a different explanation today, as well as hope and a plan that you can do it differently next time, because that's what I did this time. That used to be me that I described. And for this trip, I was determined that that was not going to be my experience or other people's experience of me. So I'm going to offer this to you. You're not bad at relaxing. You just were never actually there. And today I'm going to show you how you can actually be there on vacation. Okay, so let me back up and tell you where this podcast is coming from. But first, I want you to listen to the introduction and really listen to it, because the nuggets in that introduction are just the entire foundation of the work that I share with you in every single podcast and the work that I share with all of my clients. So listen to it. It's there for a reason. And I'll see you on the other side.
Einstein said, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. Most everyone in the world is solving their problems the wrong way. Our problems come from our thinking, and we can solve them with our thinking. So whether you're at your lowest, just trying to grow, or whether you are trying to sustain growth over your lifetime, join us as we push the boundaries of our current thinking and redefine how we find Soul-u-tions.
The hope and the strength and the love and the smiles and the laughter of friends and family Add it up, you'll find no limit to the possibilities.
I just returned from the most amazing family vacation. I think I've already shared that part with you. We went for 3 weeks to Europe. My husband, my oldest son, Nat, who's 26, Brennan, who's 24, and Christopher, who's 23. And both Brennan and Christopher graduated from college this year, and we've been saving this vacation. We didn't do a big trip when Nat graduated from school, and we wanted to save it to mark the moment of everybody being out of college and moving into the next phase of our relationship together. So we started in London. I got to go to Wimbledon with some friends. Then the boys went to Scotland and played a lot of golf at St. Andrews. And then we went to Estonia, which my husband has been to several times with a friend and someone he does a lot of work with. And they have been asking our family to go. So we visited them. And then the final part of the trip was to visit another friend in Austria who she says, I've been asking you to come back to visit me for 21 years. And it has only taken us 21 years to be able to put this trip together. And so while I was there, we were in the Estonia part. The boys were playing golf. I had a full day to myself, and I started looking through the pictures, and I just really started doing some thinking about the trip and just the feeling that we all had being on that trip together. And so I put this reel together, and it used a recording, a voice of a rabbi who talks about the real status symbol in life isn't the fancy trips or the fancy backgrounds, but life's real luxury and real status symbol is the relationship that you have with your adult children. And so that reel, if you haven't seen it, you definitely need to go to @Soul-u-tions Labs on Instagram. And we'll put a link in the show notes for it as well, because it has taken off over 100,000. It has over 100,000 views. I think I have gained at this point, over 600 new followers because of that one reel. So it definitely struck a chord with people about the importance of this relationship, how when you're raising your kids and you're doing all the drudgery and the mind-numbing parenting stuff, and you're just hoping and wishing and praying that what you're doing is the right stuff for them, and there's no scorecard, and there's nobody to really tell you that you're doing it well. And so you just have to go on faith of that. And I think that's what this reel spoke to. And I want to be clear about something, because there were beautiful pictures in the background. But again, I wasn't posting about a vacation and the things that we did. This feeling that I wanted to share was based in a conversation that I had with my oldest son, Nat. It was just something he and Turner and Christopher and I were sitting around, and we were asking, are you enjoying the trip? And Nat volunteered to us that I am loving this trip. I haven't spent this much time with y'all in 8 years. He said, the last time I spent this much time with y'all, I was in high school. And then Christopher said, yeah, me too. And it so touched me that this is what our kids were grateful for the trip, of course, but what meant the most to them was that they were able to spend time as a family and with us as their parents. And of course, Turner that's exactly that's exactly why we planned this trip. That's exactly why we wanted to do this trip and why we wanted to do this trip at that time. And, here's the thing that my mom said to me as well, and this was before we left for the trip. So this was kind of another thing that was floating in the back of my mind and on my heart when I made this reel. But my mom called this the trip of a lifetime. And she's right, because it was the trip of a lifetime for us. But I wanted to share with you what I was sharing in the caption of that post which was it was 2 trips of a lifetime. One was the vacation, but the other one was something bigger than that. It was the bigger idea of our life. And we are all on a trip of a lifetime every single day of our lives. So I've had a lot of people ask me, how's the trip? What were the favorite parts? What were the best parts? And so I've decided to do 10 takeaways from the trip of a lifetime. And this episode, I'm going to start with the first two takeaways. So you've got all of that context and background. And let's just hop into this, this first one. Okay. I want to start at a place where we usually don't start when we're talking about taking a trip. And these first 2 takeaways are not what I would call the kind of beautiful takeaways, but they are very practical takeaways. And these practical takeaways are the things that laid the foundation for the really meaningful takeaways that allowed Nat and Christopher to share their comments with us. So, what if your presence on a vacation, the quality of the presence that you bring on vacation is just a logistics problem? And why would that be relevant or important to you for it to be a logistics problem? Because logistics are easily solvable. And when I talked earlier in the opening of this episode, I shared about all the many vacations that I've taken where I return more exhausted than when I left, where I am still thinking about the unanswered emails that are waiting for me when I get back, where I'm just not fully present. And what I wanted to suggest with you is that version of me, and maybe that version of you, is the version of you who goes on vacation but hasn't figured out how to put your mind down, how to take all the things that are in your mind, sort through them, and go through them, and put as much time, energy, and preparation into that as you do on the grocery list or the travel plans or your packing list. And the reason why this is important is because as women, somewhere along the way, we became the one or the ones who think of all the things, right? Nobody handed you a title. There was no ceremony that said, hey, you're the one that has the job of remembering all of the things. But it just happened. And it happened one little small, I'm going to call it competency at a time. You are so doggone competent. And you're thinking, well, I can do this. I can do this well. It's easier for me to do it than to teach someone else. So you became the one who remembered the permission slips. You became the one who noticed when you were almost out of milk. You caught the thing on the calendar that would have collided or conflicted with something else. You became the one who knew which kid needed the extra minute at bedtime. You became the person who figured out, like, which one needed some time alone. And, every single time that you caught something, that the system began to organize itself around you. And other people learned that they didn't need to look. So here's the part that nobody tells you. Competence is quietly expensive. It is quietly costing you, and the cost is in your presence. The better you got at catching things, the more things started dropping in your lap, literally in your lap. And again, this isn't out of malice. There isn't something that someone else said, oh, she can do it. Let's just let Tara do it or Susie Q do it. I remember there used to be this fun breakfast cereal commercial when I was growing up, and it was for Life cereal. And all the kids were a little suspicious of this new cereal. And so they poured it and they pushed it over to Mikey. Let Mikey eat it. He'll eat anything. And that's how they figured out that it was actually a yummy cereal. So nobody ever pushed this list of things to do over to you and said, let you do it because you do everything. It just happened. And here's what that happening built into you. It built a background program that never fully shuts off. It's like all the open tabs on your Internet Explorer. A part of your brain is permanently assigned to the question, what am I forgetting? What are they forgetting? What are we forgetting? And this program doesn't care if you are at home getting ready for people to go back to school, if you are at the beach, if you are at work, if you are at lunch with your girlfriends, or if you are in London, Scotland, Estonia, or Austria. It doesn't care because it's just always running. And it doesn't recognize time zones, and it follows you onto the plane and sits next to you in that seat, and it just keeps running. And it has what I think is a favorite phrase, 3 words. And I'm going to tell you what those 3 words are at the end of the episode, but I want to make you a promise. Once I say them, I want you to catch them and catch yourself thinking of them within the next 24 hours. So that's the promise. I'm going to share the words, but I want you to promise me that once you hear them, you're going to notice, what am I forgetting when that phrase comes up? And it's going to be these 3 words. Okay, so now I want to be careful here because I think this is the place where a lot of conversations like these turn into shame, or at least have the potential to turn into shame. And so when someone tells you, oh, you're a control freak, or you just have to be in control all the time of all the things, or that you need to let go of things, or that you should just be more present, right? Because, of course, that's the subject of what we're talking about being able to be more present when you're on vacation. As if that is a decision that you can make with willpower on a Tuesday. I'm not going to do that because I don't think that, this inability to relax or to turn off that default programming is a character flaw for me, for you, or for anyone. I think it is a skill that we have learned. And I'm going to adjust myself here real quickly. I think it's a skill that we have all learned, a real skill, a hard-won skill, and one that is really necessary for us to not only survive, but to thrive in the world that we live in today. And so this skill keeps you feeling safe, and it has kept your children fed and safe and warm as well. So the problem isn't that you have this skill. The problem is that nobody ever showed you how to turn it off. So you keep running the program in seasons and places and times that don't need it. On a beach, on a Sunday, and all the other things that we've talked about here. So what I want to do is to say, it's time to learn how to turn it off. And I'm going to share with you how I did that on this particular vacation. And I want you to think of it this way, because I've been thinking of it this way. When you go on vacation, there's the bag you check, right? There's the bag you carry on. And then there's a third bag. And it's a bag no one helps you with. They don't help you lift it. That bag doesn't have a weight limit because, honestly, nobody's ever weighed it. And it is this bag of all of the open tabs, the one that has your mom's next medical appointment, the one that has what's going to happen when you get back from vacation. And what I want you to begin to think about from here on out is that bag is a bag that you are no longer going to take with you on vacation. And that is my first takeaway, is that I decided I am not going to take this running list of things, this mind that is unable to be present. I'm not going to take that mind with me on this trip of a lifetime. I am not going to miss out on this trip of a lifetime. And perhaps that was the reason why I did it, because when my mom said, oh, this is a trip of a lifetime, and we've talked about this concept before about having a big why. The seed she planted in me was the big why. She said, your kids are at an age, like you will never take another trip like this where it will just be the original 5 of you, Turner, and the 3 boys. Probably the next trip you take, it's going to have filled with significant others, hopefully. And then after that, they're going to be grandchildren, or they're just going to be more people. And so when she said this was a trip of a lifetime, it really landed on me and the importance of why being present was going to be just like, that was going to be my gift to myself on this trip. That was going to be my why. So I did something about 3 weeks before the trip. I was so busy trying to get out of town and trying to get everything done. I was in everything done mode. I had lists everywhere, checklist, check, 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 check. And then I've been taking a class for Claude and AI and ChatGPT, and I decided to create a prompt where Chat was going to be the experts on getting things done and who, not how. Those are 2 great time management books and practice management books. And I love both of those books. So I was like, okay, pretend like you're the author of these books. I want you to interview me. And then I proceeded to do a brain dump into Chat. Now, if you don't know about this yet, on your keyboard, on your phone, on your keyboard, there is a little microphone button, and you can dictate directly in, so you don't have to sit there and type. I love to dictate. As an old lawyer, that was the way, I used to dictate, and it just doesn't have to be in complete sentences. It doesn't have to be well organized. That's what this AI, Chat, Claude, Gemini, whatever the one is that you use, it does so well. It's a long language model. So it's able to see the patterns and see what you're doing. And so I sat there. It took about an hour and a half. It interviewed me. We got everything out on one page. Work, house, family, personal stuff. Stuff I'd been carrying so long that I didn't even know I was still carrying it. The thing on the list that you've been carrying for a year and a half and you're still carrying it. Every single loose thread in my mind went out. Now, you could do this on a walk. You could do this just at any casual moment in your life. You could sit down at your desk like I did. And I know you're going to say, where am I going to get an hour and a half from? I've got to get all this stuff done before I go on my trip. But let me remind you what the real cost is of not doing this. The cost is being distracted while you're on the trip of a lifetime. And again, I'm using that phrase as a double entendre because this could be a Saturday when all your kids are at home. The trip of a lifetime. What are you missing by being distracted and having to use the energy and attention to keep all of that running? It is so much more time than the hour and a half that it takes to do it. All right. So I call this the Ready, Set, Go on Vacation prompt. And I'm going to link it in the show notes. I have it on a Google Doc. You can make a copy of it. You can use it. I've shared it with everybody in the Soul-Shine Labs. I've shared it with my clients, my friends, my family. I've shared it on Instagram, and people really are loving it. And the reason why I'm sharing it with you today and with all those other people is because, something happened during that process. And I've talked about this before. You've heard me talk about the 5-step process that I use all the time in the Soul-Shine Labs. And it's simple. Stop, look, listen, evaluate, and pivot. And most people are pros at pivoting or moving from, thinking negatively to positively or doing this or that. But what we are not pros at is stopping, taking the time to stop, taking the time to stop long enough to look at what you're actually carrying, and then listening to what it's costing you to carry it. And, that is, those 2-3 steps are the missing ingredients for most people. They were the missing ingredients for me, and I do find that to be true for most people who are struggling. We just simply don't take the time to stop, look, or listen because our brain has convinced us we don't have the time. So what came out of my brain dump? There were things that had to be done before I left. There were a lot of things who just needed another who. I wasn't the best who to do them. And this is a great question to ask yourself when you have something on your list that needs to be done. The question we all go to is, how am I going to get that done? But if you can switch out who can I get to get that done, it's a game changer for you. And then here's the part that I really think was super important, and that it may even have mattered most, that in that brain dump, I planned my re-entry before I left. What do I mean? I've talked about re-entry turbulence before and how to expect when you return from a trip or a vacation or something that you're going to have this re-entry turbulence. It's the fall from the high back to the low of reality and all the bumps in it. I always think about, the astronauts coming back into the Earth's gravitational pull pull and how it has to burn up on reentry and then land in the ocean. But on this trip of a lifetime, I wanted my memories of it and my feeling about the trip to be the strongest thing that I brought home with me. And I also wanted to bring home with me however I was changed in the process of experiencing the trip of a lifetime. And so I planned my reentry so that that would not be something nagging at me. And it allowed me to keep my own peace of mind. I was able to stay clear and exhale the entire time. So, this time was the first time I did it. And I will never go on a trip, a vacation, a weekend away again, where I don't do this. And listen, I'm saying that reentry was a breeze, not because the actual experience of returning home on the plane was a breeze, but it was a breeze because I had planned for, and I knew what I was going to do when I returned. I had planned for my home to be taken care of. I had planned for, coffee and essentials to be waiting for me, for my refrigerator to be cleaned out, and even for my plants to be taken care of, and returning home with a backyard of beautiful containers looking better than they did when I left. All of that was part of the experience of returning home to a sense of order. So, going back to that statement that Nat shared, it has been so nice to spend so much time with y'all. And I haven't spent this much time with you in 8 years. And since I left from high school, and Christopher agreeing, that is why I did it. That's why I think I want to offer it to you as one of the takeaways that's worth sharing with you, and of course, worth me repeating. And it meant so much to me because I've shared that our boy's childhood was not soft. When Brennan was sick, we were living literally in and out of children's hospitals on pediatric cancer wards. And we lived in a world where tomorrow genuinely wasn't guaranteed for our entire family of 5. And so when my mom suggested this was a trip of a lifetime, I really carpe diem. I seized the opportunity to make sure that all the things that I could control in allowing me to be more present for the trip, that I took care of those loose ends. And I mean, really took care of those loose ends so that I did not take any loose ends, that third bag, with me on the trip. And, the second one is just going to be a real quick one here. I'm going to wrap it up pretty quickly of the second takeaway that I did, because it's similar to this first one, because it comes in the planning and prep work thing. But it was with my own packing. And I had no idea how I was going to pack for a 3-week trip. People were like, are you going to take those old-timey trunks, those luggage trunks with you? And I'm like, I can't do it. The last time I went abroad with Turner, I took this huge bag. And then I took another one last year, went on a girls' trip to Morocco. And I thought, I'm going to have to do some of this traveling alone. If I can't lift it and put it up, it's too big. So thankfully, Instagram must have heard me thinking, talking, worrying about packing, and I came across this very fun packing method. And so all of a sudden, packing from this trip moved from being a chore, something that I was dreading doing because of all of the gazillion additional decisions that we have to make. And we all talk about decision fatigue. And, I was there at decision fatigue, but it became a challenge. It's called the Sudoku packing method, and it gets its name from the game Sudoku, where there are 3 boxes across, 3 down. Yeah, so you've got 1, 2, 3 across and 1, 2, 3 down. And you pack 3 tops, 3 bottoms, and 3 layers, and 3 pairs of shoes, and 3 accessories. And because it was summertime and I was going on a little longer trip, I got to add in a couple of 2 extra pairs of shorts and a couple of extra shirts. And so I threw those in. And when I tell you that my suitcase for 3 weeks was the same size as my 2 friends who just went for the first week with me, it was amazing. So the way it works is that the layer part of it, you can mix and match. Like every top can be matched with 1 bottom, right? So then that gives you, at the end of the day, 3 tops, 3 bottoms, 3 layers gives you 27 outfits. 27 outfits to wear. And I even found new mixes and matches while I was over there. So I was always excited about, how am I going to make this work today? Or even the first time I panicked, I was like, oh my gosh, we're going out to dinner tonight. I didn't think about having an evening like this. And so, but I looked at my stuff and I made it work and I loved it. So this is going to kind of bring us to those 3 words that I shared with you earlier in the episode that I wanted you to remember. And one of the things that this Sudoku packing method did for me was that it eliminated here are the 3 words, just in case stuff. The just in case stuff. And, those are the things that fill the suitcase. It's the extra jacket, just in case. The second pair of shoes, or in this case, the 4th, 5th, and 6th pairs of shoes is the way I usually travel, that you need just in case. The outfit that you need for the thing that isn't on the itinerary, just in case that extra thing comes up. And then what I realized metaphorically when I was preparing for this episode is that that's exactly what fills the imaginary 3rd bag. 2, it's all the just in case stuff that we do. I'll keep my phone on just in case. I'll check in with my mom just in case. I'll handle it myself just in case they don't do it right. I'll stay a little bit longer or on duty a little bit more just in case someone needs me. Just in case is not a plan. It sounds like it's a plan, right? It sounds like you're being prepared. It's not a plan. It is actually a tax. Just in case is costing you your very real time and energy. Just in case is taking the space of resting, taking the space of daydreaming, taking the space of being present wherever it is you are. So here's your one thing that I want to leave you with to do this week. Just one. I want you to get a piece of paper, not your phone, because we all know what happens. You pick up the phone to write this in your notes section, and the next thing you know, you've noticed a notification and you've done 3 or 4 other things, and you're like, what did I even pick up my phone? What did I even pick up my phone for? So no phone. The phone will eat up your time and attention. Pick up a piece of paper, set a timer for 20 minutes, and write down all the things you are currently carrying. You can even use my ready, set, go on vacation. It could just be ready, set. Again, like I said, go home for the weekend and write everything down or dictate everything down that you're currently thinking, the loose threads, the work, your house, your family, the stuff nobody knows that you're holding because you do it so beautifully and quote unquote effortlessly. Don't organize it. Don't solve it. Just get it out of your brain and onto the page. And then you go back through it, or you have chat go back through it for you, and you say, put a D on it if it's something you need to do. Put a W on it if it needs a who, an actual name, an actual person, and put an L if it can wait. If it can wait till next week. And that's it. That's the whole assignment, 20 minutes. Again, I'll link the full Ready, Set, Go prompt in the show notes for you who want to do the steeper version. And it's the exact one I used, and it was brilliant. And just remember this. You're not a woman who can't relax. I know that was double negative, but just hang in there with me. You're a woman who has been carrying an extra bag that nobody else sees, and nobody else knows that they need to help you lift it and carry it. They just don't know that it's there. And, that bag, it's just evidence of all the love and the vigilance and the years of being the one who noticed. But you don't have to keep picking it up and bringing it with you everywhere you go. Not overseas on the trip of a lifetime, not to dinner on a trip of a lifetime, not to Saturday, because the trip of a lifetime is not the destination or the vacation. The trip of a lifetime is all the years that you have to spend with your friends and your family on this amazing planet Earth. It's the ordinary Tuesdays that built enough trust that a grown child would choose you, and you're already on it. You've been on it the whole time. And if you did that 20-minute exercise and you looked at your list and thought, I don't even know where to start putting this stuff down, that's not a failure. That's just what it looks like when you've been carrying stuff for a long time. And I want you to know that's what we do inside the Soul-Shine Labs. And we are always, always welcoming new people into the Soul-Shine Labs on a monthly basis. And we would love for you to join us. And so we just do simple things like what you hear on the podcast, but we go deeper. And when you get stuck, you have someone, me, or one of our other coaches to help you work through it, to help you stop. Take the time to stop, look, and listen, and then evaluate and pivot just one conversation at a time. All right. Everything's linked in the show notes. And the next episode, we're going to talk about takeaways 3 and 4. And I cannot wait to share them with you. Thank you, thank you, thank you again for listening to this podcast. That was 44 minutes, 43 minutes of your entire life that you spent with me. And I really appreciate it. So until next time, be well.
'Cause I ain't done living the life I'm meant to lead. And I ain't done loving the ones who cared for me. The hope and the strength and the love and the smiles and the laughter of friends and family. Add it up, you'll find no limit to the possibilities. The left and the right and some faith in the fight, and you're